During the intense years of the Vietnam War, a group of elite soldiers operated in the shadows with lethal precision. They were known as the US Long-Range Reconnaissance Patrols, or LRRPs for short. These deadly warriors were not ordinary soldiers. They were ghosts in the heart of enemy territory. But who were these men, and what drove them to undertake such perilous missions? This is the tale of the LRRPs, where every step could mean survival or sudden death. Inside Vietnam's LRRP operations. LRRP teams, or Long-Range Reconnaissance Patrols, were the daredevils of the U.S. Army. They're not your average scouts riding ahead and hoping for the best, like in the old French and Indian War days when things often ended tragically. No, LRRPs are a whole new breed, highly trained, heavily armed, and educated to the hilt. They go deep into enemy territory, way beyond where anyone else dares to tread. Scouting itself is as old as warfare, dating back centuries, but these guys took it to a whole new level. It wasn't until World War I that specialized units like the LRRPs started making waves. The British SAS might have kicked off the modern trend, but the U.S. Army truly made it their own. They even dusted off Robert Rogers' legendary 28 rules of ranging from the American Revolution and made it the backbone of their LRRP playbook. Vietnam was their proving ground. No other units were quite like the LRRPs there. You'd have to dig back to the Revolution or the Civil War to find anything remotely similar. The challenge? Vietnam was a guerrilla war, nothing like the big set-piece battles of World War II. There wasn't time for the usual boot camp drill. Veteran commanders knew they needed something fresh, a strategy that could handle the thick jungle and elusive enemy. Enter the LRRPs, small, agile teams that could slip in and out of dense vegetation, gathering intel and dodging trouble like pros. Without them, Vietnam might have played out very differently. They were the secret weapon, the eyes and ears that changed the game. Colonel David Hackworth played a pivotal role in organizing two volunteer platoons known as Delta Teams. Their impressive success caught the attention of General William Westmoreland, who then ordered the creation of a comprehensive long-range patrol program in South Vietnam. These patrols were to be made up of specially trained personnel tasked with reconnaissance, surveillance, and target acquisition. In simpler terms, their mission was to track, find, and eliminate the enemy. In Vietnam, there were only 13 independently operating LRRP units, and they lacked a centralized command and control structure. Each unit depended on the command center that issued its orders, leading to a somewhat chaotic operational environment. Despite this, the inclusion of experienced soldiers in every team ensured that these grasshoppers could navigate the challenges they faced. The necessity of the situation brought out the best in these soldiers, even though there was no clear roadmap. The combination of seasoned veterans and recruits in each unit allowed them to adapt and succeed in their missions. Behind enemy lines. The 1st Cavalry Division stands out in the U.S. Army's lineup, having been through it all across the 20th century's major battles. But even these tough soldiers needed backup, especially in the chaotic Vietnam War. That's where the LRRP came in, a unit known for its gutsy missions deep behind enemy lines. Back in 1966, Captain James and Ranger Staff Sergeant Ronald Christopher kick-started the LRRP detachment for the 1st Cavalry Division, inspired by successful European units. They weren't just for show either. With 120 committed men, originally known as G2 Detachment, they were up and running by January the 1st of 1967. The unit didn't stick with one name for long, though. By December of '67, they became Company E and then morphed into Company H by February of '69. Through all the changes, their core mission stayed solid, backing up other divisions like the 3rd Marine Division during Operation Jeb Stuart and the nail-biting siege of Khe Sanh. As time went on, they shifted gears to clearing coastal provinces along infantry units, proving that they were adaptable and utterly vital allies in every sense of the word. The Tet Offensive of January the 30th, 1968 marked a pivotal moment. This massive assault by the Viet Cong targeted over 100 cities and military installations across South Vietnam catching many Allied forces off guard. While tactically significant, the offensive's true impact resonated on the home front. It sparked widespread protest across the U.S., challenging public opinion and policy decisions regarding the Vietnam War. Amidst this upheaval, Company E played a crucial role in defending Allied positions. Their expertise in reconnaissance and swift tactical response provided invaluable, mitigating the offensive's immediate threats and bolstering Allied resilience. While the 1st Cavalry Division focused on disrupting enemy reinforcements to the north, Company E faced a daunting task defending Quang Tri alone. The Viet Cong had effectively severed Allied supply lines using heavy weaponry like 82mm mortars and 75mm recoilless rifles. Undeterred by relentless attacks, Company E engaged in a fierce 2-day battle that culminated in a decisive victory. Central to their success was their strategic use of LZ Betty, a towering water tower transformed into a critical reconnaissance and mortar attack point. This pivotal engagement at Quang Tri became the linchpin of the Tet Offensive, shattering the morale of the Viet Cong leadership and halting their advances southward. The defeat dealt a crippling blow to enemy supply routes and effectively neutralized their capacity for further military progress. The largest Vietnam War operation. In the Tet Offensive, a swift response of the Allies was crucial to prevent the enemy from regrouping. On April 19th of 1968, U.S. troops, along with the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, launched a major offensive into the A Shau Valley. This region was critical for the Viet Cong as it served as a conduit for military supplies from the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Imagine it as a modern Thermopylae, where Leonidas and his 300 Spartans made their stand. This was the largest Allied operation of the Vietnam War, involving 20,000 men and 450 helicopters. Despite being heavily fortified by the Viet Cong, with radar-controlled 37mm anti-aircraft cannons, rapid-firing twin-barreled 23mm cannons, and numerous 12.7mm heavy machine guns, the Allies pressed on. The Viet Cong had suffered significant losses, over 40,000 men during the Tet Offensive and the battle at Khe Sanh, yet they still had the resources to put up a strong fight. Communication was a major challenge as there were no modern systems in place. Company E was tasked with capturing Signal Hill, a strategic high point atop a dense mountain, ideal for a communication and fire support center. While most troops engaged in slow and tactical battles, Company E executed a bold and daring move. They rappelled down from 6 helicopters, launching a surprise attack to seize control of the hill. This maneuver was highly effective, disrupting enemy communications and establishing a crucial Allied communication control base. The A Shau Valley operation was a turning point in the Vietnam War. The scale and intensity of the battle highlighted the determination and bravery of the Allied forces. Their success in capturing Signal Hill was not just a tactical win, but a strategic masterstroke. It underscored the importance of quick thinking and innovative strategies in warfare. This operation demonstrated the relentless spirit of the troops and their ability to adapt to challenging circumstances. Despite the formidable defenses and the rugged terrain, they managed to secure a significant victory. The capture of Signal Hill allowed for better coordination and support, proving to be a decisive factor in the battle. The 1st Cavalry Division endured the highest casualties of any unit in Vietnam, with Company E playing a pivotal role in every major battle. They consistently proved to be the X factor, turning the tide in critical moments. As the Vietnam War drew to a close, Company E was redesignated as Company H of the 75th Infantry. This regiment continued its legacy into the 1970s, participating in operations in Cambodia. Tragically, the final chapter for Company H unfolded during a reconnaissance mission in Cambodia. Sergeant Osborne and Corporal Maurer, valiant soldiers from Company H, lost their lives to an ambush involving rocket attacks while on bomb damage control duty. A month later, Company H was deactivated, marking the end of an era as Vietnam's last Rangers fell in combat. Remarkably, Company H still holds the distinction for the longest continuous combat engagement of any Ranger regiment in the U.S. Army. In 1974, The esteemed colors and lineage of Company H were passed to the 2nd Ranger Battalion of the 75th Ranger Regiment. This transition ensured that Company H legacy would endure the annals of military history. One of the most renowned depictions of the Vietnam War on screen is Oliver Stone's 1986 film Platoon. Stone, a Vietnam War veteran who served in the 1st Cavalry Division and later in Company E, drew deeply from his own experiences to create a vivid and authentic portrayal. The movie vividly captures both the internal struggles of soldiers and the external battles they faced, depicting the harrowing journey they endured to survive and achieve victory. Platoon features a stellar cast including Tom Berenger, Willem Dafoe, and Charlie Sheen. It garnered an impressive 23 award nominations, including 8 Academy Award nominations, of which it won 4, cementing its place as a cinematic masterpiece that authentically captures the realities of war without compromising on its emotional impact.